There is a word that can easily summarize the entire 5.2 livestream: lore. We'll get so much lore in this update with the Archon Quest Interlude, the Masters of the Nightwind and Ochkanatlan that the 5.2 analysis video is gonna be pure madness. Since the update isn't out yet, today we can only analyze the trailer and the livestream to try and figure out what is gonna happen in a few days, but first, this is a theory video and leaks are prohibited in the comment section. I will use information available in the game, but my theories and conclusions are not to be considered the official lore of the game, unless I got something right and it's confirmed in a later update of the game itself. With that out of the way, get on your Qucusaurs and let's fly into the video. The Flower Feather Clan's original purpose was to patrol and defend the entirety of Natlan. They detected threats, disseminated intel, and quickly neutralized any danger to the nation, which is probably one of the reasons why their town is suspended high up in the sky. The other reason is most likely related to their Saurians, the Qucusaurs, the kings of the sky and the proudest of all Saurians, but we're talking about them later. Today, although the Flower Feather Clan's role in Natlan has changed, they still remember their roots. They still hold trials to pick the best and fastest warriors, testing their paddling skills, archery skills while flying, and their ability to work with the Qucusaurs. A warrior can only pass the trial if the Qucusaurs acknowledge their skills and decide to work with them, otherwise they become known as the Wingless. Despite this title, they're not seen as weak members that deserve to be cast out. The warriors will actively protect them because they believe that one day they'll find a way to fly without the help of the Qucusaurs. Are you done? Anyway, which is what Chaska's story quest revolves around, and by the way, her constellation, Vultur Gryphus, is the technical name for the Andean condor, the bird in her constellation. Considering that Chaska can actually fly on her massive revolver thing, so without a Saurian, and that she'll ask her elderly Qucusaur mother for help, we will either witness the Wingless finally being able to fly on their own, or maybe the tribe will realize that flying is not really necessary for one to be a warrior, finally putting this tradition behind them. Talking about the Qucusaurs, they are huge red flying Saurians and they are the Pyrosaurians. And yes, I know what's gonna happen in the comment section. Anyway, let's check the facts. Ranjit told us that the colors of the Saurians reflect their elements, so red is obviously Pyro. Ranjit also picked a Pyroregius vine as a potential pseudo-Saurian, which is basically a Pyro flower, like, you know, in the tribe's name, Flower Feather Clan. In 5.0 we saved the Qucusaur and we used Ember Core flowers to heal it, and Ember Core should be self-explanatory. In Ignition we saw a Qucusaur flying with fire underneath it, although most of you will associate that with Mawika. In the 5.2 livestream we saw that the obsidian pillar of the Flower Feather Clan is surrounded by a structure that basically looks like a flame. The Qucusaurs have a pretty distinct flame effect when they roll or sprint, and they can use phlogiston wind tunnels that, despite the name, turn them into balls of fire. Just because the Qucusaurs have wings and can fly doesn't automatically make them animal related, just like the consecrated vultures, for example. The Archon Quest Interlude that will take place in the Flower Feather Clan's area is called All Fires Fuel the Flame, which reinforces the association between the tribe and fire. Lastly, and this is pure logic, wouldn't it be weird that the land of Pyro has Saurians and tribes representing almost every element except for Pyro itself? Moving on, as we said before, the Archon Quest Interlude will revolve around the Flower Feather Clan, the tribe that suffered the most from the Abyss invasion in 5.1. Not only was the town destroyed, even though it looks just fine, but the members of the tribe have all been affected by the Abyss, corrupting their bodies, and the Traveler will purify them with his powers, but also their mental state, as Mutota, the clan chief with the best design among all the NPCs, said. During the Archon Quest, we will meet Ian-san, who, after rebuilding the Collective of Plany, is going all over Natlan to help those in need, but also Capitano, who will both lend a hand in the reconstruction and share some useful info, although not directly. We will have to read between the lines to figure out what he knows. This might have something to do with the Cataclysm, but also with Ochkan, the ancient ruler of Natlan that resides in Ochkanatlan, since in the trailer we heard first Capitano talking about something resurfacing again after 500 years, and then someone saying that Ochkan is still so in Discord. Someone we should also keep an eye out for during this Archon quest is this huge guy with a massive hammer. He is a unique NPC that appeared both in the trailer and in the livestream, but in the trailer it seems as if he suddenly summoned a corrupted Tepetlisaur, a corrupted Hoyoverse, and a Hilisaur rogue, so he's probably not just a random member of the tribe, he might be hiding his true identity. Lastly, in the trailer, Capitano also said,
"Before the final moment truly arrives, we must fight harder than ever."
This can obviously mean a lot of things, but I think he might be simply encouraging the people of the Flower Feather clan because they need to be ready for the final showdown against the Abyss in 5.3. Lastly, about the Flower Feather clan, there's something that suddenly popped up in my brain a few minutes after the livestream, and it's about the 10th unknown Harbinger. In my last video about the Harbingers and the Noses, I came to the conclusion that the 10th Harbinger's constellation is a healing hand, a symbol from the Hopi culture, a Mesoamerican tribe, so this Harbinger is probably gonna be from Natlan, which would explain his absence in the Winter Nights last video considering how the Natlanese can't leave their nation. On the other hand, we also learned about the existence of a certain Flower Feather clan member, Aoife, first in Mualani's voiceovers in 5.0, then we saw his picture and heard his voice in 5.1 because he's Auroron's friend, and in this livestream we saw his picture again, this time in front of his house. Here's the thing, Aoife, like Emily for example, is probably gonna be released around the end of version 5. But differently from her, he's been mentioned a lot already, and they're stealing the idea that he's a great guy, which is making my sus radar ring very loudly. Do you remember what Aoife's job was? He's a Saurian vet, he heals the Saurians. He heals, healing hand. Could it be that he is the mysterious 10th Harbinger? Moving on, let's talk about the Masters of the Nightwind. I have to admit, the area was already awesome in the unreleased map, but the real thing is simply amazing. Anyway, as we already know, the Masters specialize in the Night Kingdom, reason why the Shamans can communicate with spirits, and we do see a lot of spirits floating around. They also specialize in tapestry, some of which, like the round woven scroll, can be extremely dangerous and allegedly can transport people to other worlds, while other members are wandering or witch doctors who can cleanse people's spirits. In this new area, we will play the first 2 tribe chronicles, calling from the Masters of the Nightwind, so the third and last chronicle will probably be in 5.3 with Citlali, but in 5.2 there will also be a whole event, the Iktomi Spirit Seeking Scrolls, revolving around a mysterious accident in the tribe that will require Citlali's help to be solved. In the trailer, Citlali talks about a soul that escaped someone's body and can go back to it, but also Auroron complaining because she doesn't want him to help, despite how useful his incomplete soul is. In this event, and this is probably the most exciting thing about it, we will finally learn something new about Mare Jivari, and right now I don't know where it's gonna be anymore. We know that the heroes from the Cataclysm fought and died on an island west of the Children of the Echo, so close to Kanria, that was later renamed as Mare Jivari, and since Mawika brought the heroes back to life, it must be an area of Natlan. We also know that many adventurers still try to explore Mare Jivari, but they either give up fast or die there because of how dangerous the area is, and their souls can't go back to the ley lines, and Natlan's ley lines have been severed since ancient times, which is the reason why I thought that Mare Jivari was simply Ochkanatlan. And in the trailer, Capitano even talked about something for 500 years ago, and we saw him in front of a huge throne in Ochkanatlan. Unless there is another Natlanese island that we can't see yet, then Mare Jivari might actually be a domain, as it was said in Noel's Hangout event, and we'll probably find it in Ochkanatlan in a future update. Now let's talk about the Iktomisaurs. Let's get the most important fact out of the way. The Iktomisaurs are adorable. The baby version is the definition of cuteness, while the grown-up version is both majestic and cute. I mean, look at those tiny hands and how they hop around. Anyway, the Iktomisaurs are the wisest saurians and their eyes are very special. Their sight is a mix between elemental sight and the memento lens that allows them to extract information and even objects from graffiti, and they can even detect the ley lines and phlogiston. When it comes to their element, this will also cause an uproar in the comment section. They are Anemo. Let's analyze what we know. Ranjit told us that the Iktomisaurs have great powers of flight. Their color is halfway between Anemo and Cryo, which is the element you probably think they represent, but the main color of the Masters of the Nightwind, as well as that of the thing that Iktomisaurs use to move faster, is that of Anemo, which is, weirdly enough, the element the Traveler uses in the gliding demonstration a little bit later. The Saurians evolved based on the area they inhabited. Natlan is a tropical nation, so it's not cold, and the Masters of the Nightwind don't wear heavy clothes, so the temperature in their canyon isn't lower than the rest of the nation. So why would have these Saurians aligned with Cryo? On the other hand, we saw how the Iktomisaurs can use phlogiston to boost their skills, allowing them to jump higher than normal, like Shao or Kazuha, move faster, like the Anemo Elemental Resonance, and they can float and glide with their wings, meaning that their phlogiston evolution has to do with air, hence Anemo. Lastly, Auroran, who is an electro character, can float mid-air like the Iktomisaurs, and can even boost our wing glider speed, like Xianyun, Cloud Retainer. The last area we need to talk about, but also the first area I'm gonna visit, like I'm going straight there as soon as I can open the game, is Ochkanatlan. This is an apparently abandoned area north of the Flower Feather clan that was severely contaminated by the Abyss, to the point that it was designated as a prohibited area, especially because the adventurers that try to either find some ancient treasure or defeat the dragon that lives there simply disappear, so the Flower Feather clan constantly patrols the area to prevent anyone from entering it. From the outside, it just looks like the ruins of an ancient city, completely enveloped in dark clouds that give it a mysterious and dangerous looks. But the area is filled with abyss monsters, corrupted secret source automatons, and a huge black, purple, and silver dragon that attacks anyone on sight. In the livestream, we saw a very peculiar great sword stuck in a sort of altar that might have something to do with the Scarlet-Eyed youth that once defeated the Python King that ruled over Ochkanatlan. Although considering its shape, it kinda reminds me of a Borderland Claymore billet. While an identical altar can also be seen at the end of the trailer with two levers on its sides. Still in the trailer, we also saw a familiar mural of a man, which is very similar to the mural depicting Xbalanque coming back to life on Xucoatl's dead body, but if you look very closely, the one in the 5.2 trailer is not Xbalanque, it's Ochkan. The clothes and the shape of the face are different, but above all, the face itself has been covered with paint, as if whoever did that, and I believe it was Ochkan himself, didn't want that draconic face to be seen anymore, which leads me to the next topic of this video. Who is Ochkan? As we learned in 5.0, Ochkanatlan was the ancient capital of Natlan under Xbalanque first and Ochkan later. Very briefly, also because I talked about him in detail in my 5.0 analysis video, I firmly believe that Ochkan, the Python King, is the Sage of the Stolen Flame, Washaklan Ubakan. And what confirms it for me are the descriptions of the Delirious Sacred Lord Ascension materials, the Obsidian Codex, and the War Quest revelations from the past. The sage left the kingdom of the bishops because he couldn't stand the folly of his kin following the filth and decay of the Dragon Sovereign. He discovered the humans, founded the first tribe, taught the humans how to use phlogiston, and then he was imprisoned by Chuck in a stagnant void until Xbalanque freed him, and together they defeated Xucoatl, and they probably used the Sovereign's eyes to make the Golden Entreaties. Xbalanque's entreaty was buried in the Funnel Paradise that displays identical ruins to those of Ochkanatlan, while the sage, the Silver Dragon, took and swallowed the other one, and he's now waiting for us in Ochkanatlan. Xbalanque then entered the Sacred Flame and left the nation to the sage while waiting for a successor, but the sage, obsessed with Xbalanque, never acknowledged anyone and let his selfish desires take over, becoming the infamous Python King, and as we can see from the massive mural, he does look like a reptile. So Washaklan Ubakan became the tyrant of Ochkanatlan, so Ochkan. His body slowly began to regress into that of a dragon, which he hated, he was probably also corrupted, and his story continued until the Scarlet-Eyed youth fought him on the Ineffable City, witnessing his real draconic appearance. He was defeated and fell into a pitch black mire below, so he's still alive. Then in the trailer we heard someone from the Flower Feather clan saying that Ochkan is still sowing discord, which probably means that the black, purple, but above all silver dragon that rules over Ochkanatlan is, again, Ochkan. Also because Qucusaurs, after it was corrupted by probably forbidden knowledge, turned into a black and purple dragon, and the sage is his descendant, so they probably look very similar. Now, I mentioned the ineffable city, the city in the sky that Ochkan built above Ochkanatlan, but we actually never saw it in the live stream, so where is it? Well, we don't really need to look very far, it's written in the description of the area. Above the clouds, the empty ark forgotten in legends. The ineffable city is hidden above those dark clouds, and I can't wait to explore it. Lastly, there's Qucusaurs. This little thing has the power to clear abyssal contamination. It needs secret source scraps to enhance its power, and once it's fully charged, it will be able to shoot the dragon down, but doesn't it remind you of something both by its design and its powers? It's basically Kvarina, even the colors are almost the same. I wonder who this Bona actually is and how she put her hands on something so cute but also very powerful. The last topic for today is the new enemy, the Tenebrous Papilla. It's another abyss plant looking enemy, only in this case it looks like a whole tree that is capable of mimicking enemies from all over Teyvat, like the Eon Blight Drake, the Hydro Apostasis, the Primal Jovisha, the Magu Kenki, and the Millennial Pearl Seahorse, because the abyss corroded Natlan's ley lines and it read the memories contained in it. As the Tenebrous Mimiflora, it also descended from an alien world, and it's clearly trying to mimic the tree-like world, so Teyvat. What's interesting is its title, Void Fantasy Plant, which in Honkai terms, it sounds like it's a quantum and imaginary being at the same time, and it kinda makes sense. It's an abyss monster, so Void, the Sea of Quanta, so Quantum, that is trying to imitate Irminsul, the imaginary tree. Also very interesting is how in the livestream we saw one of its abilities conjuring a triquetra that looks awfully similar to the ones on the domain gates. The problem with this monster is obviously one. How is it reading the memories of the entirety of Teyvat from Natlan's ley lines? We were told on multiple occasions that Natlan's ley lines, the ones connected to Irminsul, had been severed by Qucusaurs, and that the Lord of the Night used the surviving leaves on the Irminsul tree of Natlan to create an alternative network, the Night Kingdom, that only exists in Natlan and works only for the Natlanese, which is the reason why the Natlanese can leave their nation, otherwise they wouldn't be able to access their memories stored in the Night Kingdom, causing them memory issues and emotional troubles. This means that the Night Kingdom is not a patch for the broken ley lines, it's a whole alternative system that works independently. I mean, the whole concept is that if the Night Kingdom got destroyed, the people would lose their memories, history, legends, traditions, and so on, which means that these memories exist only in the Night Kingdom, they don't flow through the ley lines of Teyvat, otherwise the problem wouldn't exist to begin with, and the people would be able to access their memories anywhere in Teyvat, but that's not the case. So the only explanation I can find to justify the Papilla's power is that when they talked about the ley lines of Natlan, they actually meant the original ley lines, the few ones connected to Irminsul that still somehow work, not the Night Kingdom, which would also explain why the Papilla is trying to look like Irminsul, since it would be acquiring info directly from the source. As always, there's only one way to find out, and that is to wait a few more days and head straight to Ochkanatlan, because that's where the lore we want is waiting for us. And that's it, I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and if you're interested in Genshin Impact Theory videos, consider subscribing. Of course, my next video is gonna be the 5.2 analysis, and I'm still working on a new video about the structure of Teyvat, but it's given me some problems. I have an idea, I just haven't figured out how to explain it yet, but I will, don't worry. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, over and out.